payments 2009 alley improvement to Lamb Construction, concrete contractor in the amount of $237,028.95.
Is that your motion?
Yes, Mayor.
Is there a second
Second.
on the question? Roll call.
Alderman Winger?
Yes.
Alderman Shockey?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Lewitton?
Yes.
Alderman Coles?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
No.
Alderman Flees.
Yes.
That item passes.
That's the end of my report, Mayor.
Finance Administration, Alderman Winger.
No report.
That brings us to other business, which may have a motion to approve a letter of credit reduction request to Villa Cara Limited. Is there such a motion?
I have a question.
Let me get a motion on the floor, and then I can open up for discussion. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
A second to open it up.
Alderman Coles.
I talked to John. The fence that's up there is, I asked him if that was I don't think that was a temporary fence that was, it was a temporary fence that was put up there, and they were gonna put up a better fence as the surrounded. The people that live there now are repairing the fence because it's falling apart. So, and there's big gaps in it, which they said there would be some, but I was there today, and you could see the fence is moved, as the wooden fence is hanging to the right and hanging to the left, and it looks terrible. And I thought they were supposed to put up a different type of fence, if I remember right.
Well, Alderman, subsequent to our conversation, I went down and reviewed the approved landscaping plans for the subdivision, and the wooden fence that is up there is what was approved. If it's in poor condition in sections and needs some repairs, I mean, we could certainly reflect that in, some monies that we still require from him or require him to do the repairs.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
Alderman, please.
Okay, questions on, we want to drop this down to $67,223 from $407,000. My question is, I also drove by, the final lift on the street isn't done, and the retention pond, which I'm already getting a lot of flooding coming from that area already, isn't complete. What's the deal on the pond? I heard there's something going on with the pond. I'm not exactly sure what's not done with that retention pond.
I would have to defer that to the city engineer, although he did, in part of this retainment, in the letter of credit we would be keeping, would be the money for the final lift on the street. But as far as any additional work in the pond, I would have to defer that to Dave.
Okay, well, let's get that answer first, then I gotta.
I'm not aware of any problems with the pond functioning, but it's loaded with weeds and it needs a good cleanup, possibly a little regrading, but cleanup of the weeds and establishment of the turf grass in there. And we did hold some money for that purpose.
My question is, the last few months, I mean, there was only one house going up, and I think there's only one lot left. Why wasn't the final lift put up on the street? Because I'm afraid that winter's coming, we're gonna start getting salt and whatnot. This is gonna turn into another, what is it over there? Ethan Woods off of Wood Lane, where they had to come in and redo the street because the final lift wasn't on. And then we don't have enough money to put a new binder and a new lift.
Well, actually, we're retaining, if you see in my memo, we do retain 10% for all the work completed, which is $32,000. So there's a pretty hefty amount in there for some binder patching if that's necessary, which, usually there is some required before we would have them do the final lift,
Yeah,
so.
but my question is, why didn't they finish? I mean, the house has been built. I mean, I haven't seen any real big trucks going through there. Why wasn't the lift done?
Well, he has, I believe there's one vacant lot left. There's 2 homes still under construction. There's 1 home that is finished that he's been being used as a model. So typically, this is the point in time where a final lift would be put on. Usually you want the subdivision to be 75 to 80% completed before they put the final lift on. As far as our requests to the developer at this point, doesn't have the money available right now.
Alderman Wesley?
My question to Dave Graff, you just spoke just now on that detention pond. It's got weeds and it needs some more grading done. But you're trying to tell me that pond is in poor working conditions, knowing that it's got to be regraded somewhat. You just told us that.
Well, I did inspect the outlet works, and that seemed to be in good condition. I have not been out there during a flooding event to check its functioning as far as that goes, but the restrictors the outlet piping seem to be in good condition. So I don't know of any other problems out there.
Then what grading do they have to do on this pond that you stated just
I
now?
don't know that necessarily that they need any grading, but it's almost impossible to tell right now with the weed growth. It might be a situation where the bottom of it isn't draining correctly and might need a little cleanup, and that's kind of what I'm thinking of. I don't know that for certain. Well, I do know the weeds need to be taken out and grass needs to be established in there.
Alderman, please.
This is a legal question for Pat. These retention ponds, basically we got this one. I don't know why it wasn't finished, and we're gonna give money back. We've got the one in Ethan Woods that was in front of us, I don't know, a few months ago. I had said, well, why don't they finish the project before we never heard anything. Do we have any recourse that we can say, hey, you're not, we want the ponds done, they're not done, we're gonna take the money from the letter of credit and finish them ourselves? Or do we just gotta keep waiting and waiting and wait? I don't understand.
Mr. Bond?
Well, it depends on we have different relations. Some of them were through development agreements, so it depends on the nature of what the agreement was as to whether we have recourse in withholding that if it was an item that was to be done and we've determined that it hasn't been completed in accordance with the requirements. If it's a new project, you have some retention that you have still available for it. Otherwise, with the letter of credit, the letter of credit is really designed to make sure that there has been performance, that they've got everything, and that the city's interest is protected ultimately. But again, it depends on how the subdivision came to the city to begin with as to which recourse the city has available to it.
Alderman Wesley?
John, we were just talking about the lift for the road hasn't been finished. You're saying because he didn't have the money to finish it? How do we know he's gonna have the money 2 years or 3 years down the way? Even though we're holding 10%, how do we even know that 10% is gonna be enough?
Well, I think in Dave's memo, I think the money that he's recommending to reduce the letter of credit to includes the full amount to put the final lift on the street. Again, I would have to probably clear this with the city attorney to get his opinion as to whether or not we could at this point put a deadline on him, give him a date, say if we're willing to reduce your letter of credit to what is being recommended or to some other amount, but you know what, by May 1st of 2010, the street needs to be done, everything else needs to be finished up. Can we put that sort of deadline on him?
Mr. Bond?
Sure you can, and if they don't complete it within that, unless there's a different contractual deadline, if they don't complete it within that deadline, then we have different discussions about whether or not we call a letter of credit to have the work done. And basically what you do is call a letter of credit, and then the city would contract, either do it itself or contract for the work to be done, utilizing the funds that were posted for the letter of credit. That's what it's designed to. It's designed to protect, to make sure that everything is done and completed in accordance with the terms and conditions of the city code.
Council, I'm going to recommend to the mover and the seconder that we approve the letter of credit reduction, but we reduce it down to $307,496, which would leave a retention in the amount of $100,000. And over and above what's already been discussed, you may recall that there was substantial litigation regarding this project, and there was a judgment to my recollection, rendered in favor against the city and against the developer, which I asked staff immediately prior to the meeting, and nobody could get their hands on the records to see if that has been paid or not. So I think the additional 33,000, in addition to the concerns that you've mentioned, would be sufficient to cover that outstanding cost reimbursement that was supposed to have been made to the city by the developer. Alderman, please.
Actually, I was gonna go somewhere along that lines. I was gonna say, can we keep, instead of reducing it down to 67,000, can we just reduce it down to like 120? But if, but if you guys feel 100,000's enough, then I can go along with that. And if they don't get it done by May 1st, we can go in and get it done. Right? Is that the way I understand it?
Correct. Who made the motion?
I made the motion.
What, is that your motion then, to reduce the bond down to allow a reduction down to 120,000?
My idea was 120,000, but if council staff feel 100,000's more than enough.
It's your motion.
Well, I would say 120,000.
Does the seconder agree? Alderman Wesley?
You know, I go along with it for $100,000, but I don't like it when we don't put these lifts on. There's too many of them going on, so,
You going along with the motion to reduce down to 120,000?
yes.
Thank you. Anything further on the question, Alderman Wesley?
Mr. Mayor, is part of that motion, are they going to put a deadline on when it's got to be put in?
Yeah.
Could we make, does that have to be put in there?
The only thing before us is the letter of credit reduction, but I think staff will convey the intent to the city council.
We can't put that in the motion? No. Yes, no.
Mr. Bond?
No, the only matter before you is the reduction of letter of credit. I think staff's got direction to put a deadline for completion of that, and if the deadline's not satisfied, then it would likely be staff's recommendation that we call the balance of the letter of credit.
Can we do that legally?
Mr. Alderman, please.
Can we do that legally if there's no stipulation? I mean, I don't think we have it written anywhere, any timetable or anything. Is that gonna become,
Isn't there an automatic timetable pursuant to a building permit?
There is for actual building permits, but as far as subdivision improvements, such as putting a final lift on or finishing that, we really don't have anything in the building code
Okay.
yet.
Yeah, so all we need to do is put them on notice that it's not completed within whatever timeline is, it's directed by, to staff, that it's the intention of the city to call a letter of credit.
Anything further? Roll call.
Alderman Winger,
Yes.
Alderman Shockey.
He in here.
Did he leave? Oh, sorry. Alderman Roy Wesley,
Yes.
Alderman Lewitton. Alderman Coles,
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley.
Yes.
Alderman Police,
yes,
Alderman Shockey.
That passes. We do not have any other business. That brings us to approval of the bills. Alderman Winger?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will make a motion to approve a list of bills. I would like to say that, given our total, we are adding an additional bill on, and it has been approved at the committee and council level for, that applies towards the train station. That's $255,352.79. So with that being said, I make a motion to approve a list of bills dated November 19, 2009 for $1,078,534.43.
Alderman Winger, before I recognize a second, does that also include the $500? I guess the kids need the check.
I'm pretty sure it does, but I'm gonna go back. I thought I saw it when I was going through.
I'm advised
see it
it
in
does
there?
not, so if we
Okay.
could add that.
So I will add on $500 to that, so I'm gonna restate, or I'm gonna amend my motion to a total of $1,079,034.43.
Is there a second? Second. On the question? Alderman Wesley?
Mayor, I just have two quick questions here. The one on page 6, Engineer Resource Association for South Cedar Drainage Study. Is that completed? That I have not received a copy, or will that be issued to us?
Mr. Graff?
No, that has not been completed. They've been working for a completion date of Thanksgiving. I talked to them today. They say they're a little bit behind on that, but they have been working on it, and probably early December, at least a draft report of that will be done, and we'll send it out.
Could I ask one other question on that, Mayor?
Alderman Wesley?
Is it, in the contract, does it states how it's being paid and what has to be completed on a certain time, or is there a deadline on that contract?
There's a deadline of number of days from notice to proceed, and I don't remember what that is. Again, we were talking in the Thanksgiving timeframe of having their report done. There's no intermediate steps in the contract. There's nothing that says by this date, something else has to be done. There's nothing like that in there.
Okay. Mayor, I have one other question.
Alderman
Page-
Wesley?
Page 1, the Wooddale Irving Park
No.
grade separation for $25,651.53. It's all of a sudden now, there's a bill coming here, and all of a sudden now we have a meeting with them. What have they been doing for $25,000?
Actually, I think I can take that one. We had a meeting this morning, and this project is taking up steam once again. It's anticipated that now we will have a public hearing on January 12th, subject to the junior high's availability. And after the public hearing, there is a comment period of, I believe it's 30 days. And with that, we will complete Phase 1 in its entirety.
Okay.
Alderman, please.
I got a couple. Page 14, Strand and Associates, is that the lighting over at Shorty's Triangle? Is that almost done? I thought those lights were gonna be operational.
Mr. Kramer?
Alderman Police, the Strand and Associates is for water reservoir tanks 3 and 4. They were a inspection projects for both ground storage tanks located in the CIP. In answer to your second question, yes, I did talk to Adlight Electric today, who is the company who's installing the lights for the wind sculptures, and they're waiting on 3 lenses are holding the project up right now. I'm hoping to have those lenses at the latest next week, and then look for installation probably right after Thanksgiving.
Okay,
Alderman, please.
page 13. This is Roger Marquardt, the professional consulting fee. Do we give notice to these guys already? Because I hear the meetings now was postponed from the last time we were supposed to meet with them. Now it's postponed. I want to make sure, because I know once we give notice, we have 3 months, so we lost a month.
We've not given notice yet. The mayor had advised me that before we gave him notice, that he would like a meeting with Mr. Marquardt and me. That meeting has been set up for a week from Friday, at which point we will tell him that it's time to cut the cord and terminate that contractual relationship.
Actually, I think that might be a slight overstatement, but we will bring it back to you, because one of the things I think Mr. Douthwaite advised me, he's currently working on funding the remaining missing funding for the grade separation project, and I thought there was a mention that he had made substantial progress on that, but I may be incorrect, since I haven't heard that from him directly.
I've not heard that from him directly either. We've been exchanging emails, and as of today, as of yesterday, we've set that meeting up for a week from Friday, and we'll go from there.
Which we were supposed to do months ago.
Right.
Alderman Winger?
You know, if it was discussed before, I don't recall it. When was this prompted that we were going to ask the lobbyist function to not occur? Is that what you're discussing here?
Well, no, it wasn't discussed at the council meeting. I've heard a couple aldermen express their concerns that he may have outlived his usefulness is a little strong of a term, but the mayor and I have discussed it and said, and the mayor suggested, let's set up a meeting with him, discuss what he's done so far, what he expects to do in the future, and if we don't hear anything different from what we now know, my recommendation will be to bring it back to the council and recommend that we terminate it.
And that's what I would expect. It almost sounded like the conversation here was that it was a given that it was going to end when I knew nothing about it. And it's not that I don't respect that we may potentially need to stop that function, but it's just a matter of let's keep us all aware and make us all a part of that decision. Thank you.
I misspoke. I mean, the mayor and I don't have the ability to just cut it off on our own, but my intention would be to let him know that my recommendation back to the council will be that we terminate the relationship. But you all have to take that action.
And that's my understanding as well. Anything further? Roll call.
Alderman Lewitton?
Yes.
Alderman Shockey?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Winger?
Yes.
Alderman Coles?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Flees.
Yes.
That passes. We do need an executive session tonight. May I have a motion to adjourn the city council meeting into executive session for purposes of review of the official minutes and personnel pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C21 and 2C1 for purposes of review of the official minutes and personnel. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Okay. Alderman Lewitton? Yes. Alderman Shockey?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Winger?
Yes.
Alderman Coles?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley? Alderman Flees.
Yes.
That passes. We're adjourned. You can take 5.